Good evening. The observatory issued the red rainstorm warning tonight and earlier warned of flash floods. People scrambled to stay dry and roads flooded as drains struggled with all the water. Winner Wong reports.
After an already rainy night, the observatory issued the first amber rainstorm warning at 7:55 a.m. The northern district was hit the hardest, with over 100 millimeters of rainfall recorded in parts of Tai Po. Roads were flooded, causing breakdowns. Police were called in to rescue the driver of this taxi. In Shangshui and Takuling, the rainfall was as much as 150 millimeters. The amber warning was cancelled 4 hours later, but issued again at 2:15 p.m.
It is actually expected because there is a trough of low pressure over southern China and the weather over the region is very unstable today. The rain and thunderstorms move away near noontime. However, another area of rain and thunderstorms developed and also affected the territory.
The observatory predicts the bad weather will continue into tomorrow, but the skies should clear up by Tuesday. It also reminded people that Hong Kong is currently in the middle of the rainy season, so more wet weather can be expected. Winner Wong, ATV News.
There's also heavy rain and widespread flooding on the mainland, damaging farmland in Hunan province. One man became trapped in the middle of a flooded river, prompting a dramatic rescue effort by villagers. Anne-Marie Sim reports.
As heavy rain battered parts of the mainland, villagers in Huitong County in Hunan province risked their lives trying to rescue a trapped lorry driver. He was trying to drive his truck out of floodwaters caused by the heavy downpours, but his attempt failed and he ended up getting stuck in the middle of a raging river. The villagers said they waited 2 hours for emergency services to arrive by speedboat. But as the rain continued to pour, the water level rose, threatening the stranded driver. That's when 3 locals jumped into action, using their own small boat to rescue the man, ignoring warnings from authorities. They managed to reach the trapped driver in 10 minutes and return to the riverbank. Meanwhile, the heavy rain has wreaked havoc on farmland and homes in the region. The wet weather caused mudslides and floods which damaged buildings and crops. In a farming village in Xiaoyang, rice, flowers and saplings were ruined by muddy torrents. Villagers dug out drainage ditches in an attempt to salvage their flooded crops. According to Hunan Provincial Flood Control and Drought Relief Command, around 460,000 people have been affected by the floods. Anne-Marie Sim, ATV News.
Officials in eastern Zhejiang province have promised to suspend construction of a massive waste incinerator after a violent demonstration. The clashes in Hangzhou yesterday left at least 10 protesters and 29 policemen injured. A demonstration against a planned waste incineration plant by thousands of locals near the scenic mainland city of Hangzhou turned into a bloody riot yesterday. More than 30 cars were overturned during the confrontation, with people setting fire to 2 police vehicles and smashing up another 4. Plans for the waste complex were made public last month, and locals fear pollution from the plant could affect their health, leading to the latest protests over poor environmental standards on the mainland. The district government appeared to back off with an announcement today stating the project would be suspended if it did not enjoy public understanding and support, and asking people not to protest anymore. But the Yuhan government's promise was met with scepticism by protesters, who said they had little faith it would do anything more than delay the inevitable. Around 300 waste incinerators are due to be built between 2010 and 2015 to meet the national target of 35% of household waste to be incinerated by 2015, up from 18% in 2010. Vietnam allowed several hundred protesters to stage a noisy rally outside the Chinese embassy in Hanoi today against Beijing's deployment of an oil rig in the disputed South China Sea. Here's Anne-Marie Sim.
Public protests are rare in Hanoi and often forcibly broken up by authorities. Vietnam's leaders keep a very tight grip on public gatherings for fear they could attract anti-government protesters. But police didn't step in to stop this one, which lasted about 3 hours. Shouting "Down with China," hundreds of people waved banners and Vietnamese flags outside the Chinese embassy in Hanoi to protest against Beijing positioning an oil rig in the disputed South China Sea that has triggered a tense standoff and raised fears of confrontation. Vietnam has been trying for the past week to stop state-run CNOOC from deploying the oil rig about 130 nautical miles from Vietnam's shore. That, Vietnam says, is well within its exclusive economic zone, defined by the United Nations as areas extending 370 kilometres from a country's coast. Vietnam's government immediately protested the deployment of the oil rig at the beginning of the month and dispatched a flotilla that was unable to break through a circle of more than 50 Chinese vessels protecting the facility. During the week, the Vietnamese Coast Guard released video of mainland vessels ramming and firing water cannons at Vietnamese ships last Sunday. Hanoi said 2 vessels were badly damaged and 6 people were wounded, in the worst setback to ties between the 2 communist nations in years. Beijing has demanded that Vietnam withdraw its ships and made it clear that the drilling operations were being carried out in its territory. Anne-Marie Sim, ATV News.
Back locally, Financial Secretary John Tsang says the hospital authority has already been affected by the Pan-Democrats' filibuster over the budget. Writing in his online diary, Tsang explained that the filibuster has caused the authority to dip into its fixed-term deposit reserves as a precautionary measure, meaning it will lose about $1 million of interest. Tsang has called an urgent meeting on Thursday to draw up contingency plans in case the filibuster continues for much longer. Health Chief Ko Wing-man says a task force has been set up to oversee a pilot program for bowel cancer screening, and he expects it to start next year at the earliest. Addressing concerns about the extra workload on public hospital services, Ko said the government is considering allowing both private and subsidised hospitals to carry out the procedure. The Health Minister noted that the procedure itself is quite complex, so higher risk groups will be screened first once the pilot scheme gets off the ground. The Medical Council has delayed its ruling over whether 2 doctors are to blame for the death of a celebrity couple's baby 9 years ago. An emotional Eugenia Lau said after today's hearing that she just wants closure to the case. Raymond Young reports.
Accompanied by family and friends, Eugenia Lau and Peter Chung arrived at the Medical Council's office in Aberdeen this morning. The celebrity couple was there for the 11th and final hearing to find out who should be responsible for the death of their newborn 9 years ago. The 2 doctors facing charges of professional misconduct, obstetrician Christine Choi and pediatrician Wan Kao-ming, also arrived later with some chanting supporters. The hearing, the longest in the council's records, began in January with the couple vowing to seek the truth rather than compensation. Lau, a former actress, gave birth to her son Cheng Tin Lam on the 18th of February 2005, almost 3 weeks before the baby was due. The drama began when Choi performed an amniotomy, a labor-inducing procedure by intentionally rupturing the fetal membrane, at her clinic without warning the couple of the risks. Choi also administered a birth-inducing drug before asking Lau to meet her at the hospital 8 hours later. In that short space of time, amniotic fluid gushed from Lau's body, and the baby was eventually born in poor health and died a day later. A specialist's testimony has suggested it was not necessary for Lau to go into induced labor. Chung, Lau's senior husband, suspected Choi was trying to rush the process so that she could go on an overseas trip. Wan, the other doctor attending to Lau at St. Teresa's Hospital, faced an additional charge of failing to immediately transfer the baby to the intensive care unit. The hearing was adjourned for most of the day to allow the investigation committee time to reach a verdict. As they waited for the judgment, Lau said the result wasn't so important anymore, and she only wanted closure to the case since it had dragged on for too long. The couple has since given birth to a boy in 2007 and a girl 1 year later. Raymond Young, ATV News.
Police have arrested an Indonesian domestic helper in connection with a dead fetus found inside a train at Yamate Station last month. Police took the 27-year-old maid to a Sha Tin flat today as part of the investigation. Officers said last month the helper abandoned the 28-year-old fetus on the train after boarding at Diamond Hill Station. Police say they tracked down the suspect after reviewing security camera footage. Radical Party People Power has brushed off suggestions there's a widening rift within the pan-democratic camp. This came as the convener of the Alliance for True Democracy admitted his group is facing an unprecedented crisis. Emily Sue reports.
Speaking at a forum hosted by government radio today, Alliance for True Democracy convener Joseph Chang expressed pessimism about the future of his group. Chang admitted the alliance, which is made up of 26 out of the city's 27 pan-democrat lawmakers, is facing a crisis. On Tuesday, Occupy Central supporters picked 3 political reform proposals that will be the focus of the movement's referendum next month. But since all 3 contain elements of civil nomination and none of the so-called moderate proposals were included, sparked concerns that the campaign has been hijacked by radicals, namely People Power and the League of Social Democrats. The Democratic Party has threatened to withdraw from the alliance unless the radicals do, prompting fears of a widening rift within the pan-democratic camp. But People Power Treasurer Christopher Lau insists there's no rift because the alliance's proposal was one of the winners on Tuesday's vote. Our job is to make sure the 3-track proposal will get the most votes in the referendum and become Occupy Central's final proposal, said Lau. People Power also said it will not quit the alliance despite the Democratic Party's threat. Civic Party Chief Alan Leong echoed Lau, insisting there's no split in the pan-democratic camp, as alliance members have agreed to prioritize pushing their proposal in June's referendum.
It's Mother's Day and families across Hong Kong celebrated the occasion by pampering their mums. Some took them out to lunch, while others surprised them with a nice bunch of flowers. Emily Sue reports.
Despite this morning's amber rainstorm warning, many Hong Kongers flocked to the Mong Kok Flower Market to find a colourful surprise for the special ladies of their lives.
Every woman loves flowers. Anyone that says they don't is a liar.
It's very, very special day to give her some special thing like flower.
I've got a list of things that we need to buy, so hopefully we'll find it here.
Florists said business this year is just as good as last year, but more people are choosing custom bouquets and having them delivered due to the rainy weather. But for those who left things until the last minute, these nicely pre-wrapped bunches and baskets are not only great lifesavers, they're also pretty cheap.
He wants to buy roses for Mommy, and I'm going to buy her favorite flowers, peonies.
Which color?
We haven't decided yet.
I'm here to buy some flowers for my wife on behalf of this one down here.
What are you thinking to buy?
I have no idea. I'm thinking maybe I'll let her just pick one, and then decide on whether it's going to be too expensive or not.
Roses and carnations proved to be the popular choice again this year, but most moms would agree it really doesn't matter what they get from their loved ones. It's the thought that counts.
For mothers who prefer delicious food over pretty flowers, Sunday morning dim sum also proved to be the perfect treat from their kids who are often busy during the week.
Happy Mother's Day!
Happy Mother's Day!
So we want to celebrate Mother's Day all together with the kids because kids are off today.
But some say Mother's Day shouldn't just be every second Sunday of May, but every weekend.
I don't think it's important to come only for Mother's Day. I think it's important to come every weekend or every day we are free, just together and have a time to share.
His mom agrees.
Not very special, just as a normal day only.
But for those of you who can't celebrate Mother's Day every day, just put your feet up and take the night off for having taken on one of the world's toughest jobs, being someone's mom.
Sport news. Japan's top tennis player Kei Nishikori has reached the Madrid Open final after beating David Ferrer in a 3-set thriller. Bolong reports.
All eyes were on Kei Nishikori when he clinched the opener in a tie-break against David Ferrer at the Madrid Open semi-final. The Spaniard took control of the second set, serving an ace and then breaking to level the match. In an epic encounter that lasted 2 hours 56 minutes, Nishikori sealed the 7-6, 5-7, 6-3 victory after Ferrer sent a forehand wide. Nishikori will face world #1 Rafael Nadal in the final.
Yeah, I hope I can play good tennis again. He's a king of clay court specialist, so it's going to be hard. But, I've been feeling good and confident, so hopefully I can play another good match.
Defending champion Nadal won in straight sets against compatriot Roberto Bautista Agut to record his 50th straight semi-final win on clay. In golf, Jordan Spieth carded a third straight bogey-free round to share the Players' Championship lead with Martin Kaymer at TPC Sawgrass in Florida. Kaymer picked up a pair of birdies to build a 2-shot lead, but then lost 2 birdie opportunities. The pair have a 3-shot lead over the chasing pack, posting 12 under 204. Former Players winner Sergio Garcia turned a birdie chance into a bogey on the 17th hole by missing a short putt. He carded a third-place score of 9 under 207 to tie with Australian John Sendon. Lee Westwood started off well by setting up a simple eagle putt and is in the 7 under group. Finland's Jari-Matti Latvala has extended his lead over Volkswagen teammate and world champion Sébastien Ogier of France in the Argentina rally. Latvala has a 29.9-second advantage over the Frenchman. Brittyn Chris Meek is 3 minutes and 41.2 seconds behind the Finn and sits in 3rd place in his Citroën.
The Flugtag returned to Hong Kong today following a 4-year hiatus. Despite the gloomy weather, hundreds turned up to check out the colourful flying machines, even though they all took a dive. Crowds flocked to the new Central Harbourfront this afternoon to cheer on the 43 Red Bull Flugtag teams as they launched their flying machines into Victoria Harbour. After taking off from the 9-metre-high dock, most of the contraptions and their pilots quickly plunged into the sea like this, and this, and this. With no chance of flying, some entries relied on their dance skills to win the crowd over.
It may be grey and wet out here, but that didn't stop these crowds from turning up to see which homemade flying devices could go the distance. And even though most of them didn't get very far, it's all in the name of a bit of fun.
We'll come again next year, and maybe next year we will fly over Kowloon.
It was great because it's my first time trying this. I feel I want to do it again next time. Because we just not did very well maybe today, but I enjoy it so much.
Very good. Very exciting.
It's the city's second Flugtag, which in German means flying day. The last was in West Kowloon 4 years ago. Fans are hoping this time it'll really take off. Time to check your Mark 6 tickets. Here are tonight's winning numbers: 11, 16, 26, 38, 45, 49, and the extra number is 5. The weather forecast for the next few days: cloudy with a few thunderstorms tomorrow. Temperatures will range from 24 to 27 degrees. Sunny intervals and showers expected later in the week. Here's a look at the weather around the world. That's all the news for now. Thanks for watching ATV. I'm Brittyn Clennett. Good night.
Coming up, Newsline.
Mother's Day. To all full school moms, a happy Mother's Day. Pioneers are dedicated to explore renewable energy. Wind power, the cleanest energy, has drawn the attention worldwide. Plants make oil. Bioenergy opens a new market. Even geothermal heat, far from being fully exploited, is eager to share the energy market. These inexhaustible sources make the world a better home. Documentary World, Global Energy, Monday and Tuesday night at 9.
You don't need to fight to solve your disputes. Why not try mediation first before taking a dispute to court? Mediation is flexible and confidential, and it can be used to solve different types of dispute. Parties can avoid confrontation and the risk of losing a case. It also saves money and time. Parties can participate fully in mediation and reach an agreement. When tension is eased and a relationship is maintained, it's a win-win situation.
Asia's desire to get rich explodes, but every coin has two sides. With rapid economic growth, environmental pollution is challenging the booming countries. In the green business war, only technology can make them stand out. All About Documentary, Red Hot Asia, Thursday night at 10:05.
This programme only reflects the personal views of the programme hosts and/or the individual contributors.
Good evening, this is Newsline. I'm Michael Chigani. Tonight, Michael Tien, and we're going to talk about the high-speed railway and the big controversy surrounding that. Now, Michael Tien, you're also New People's Party, and you are also the chairman of the Legislative Council Railways Committee, right? And you're looking at railways. Of course, you were the chairman of the old KCR, so you're very well versed on this issue. You know this issue very well.
I pretend to.
No, you pretend to. The question that everybody wants to know, Michael Tien, is this. Was this whole delay with the high-speed railway, the 2-year delay, was there a cover-up? In your mind, was there a cover-up?
If you are referring to everybody in the corporation, I can say.
No, the top-level people.
If it's about the few that has been in the limelight, I would say consciously, I don't believe there was a cover-up. After all the questioning and all the answers that were given to us, I believe it's a case of two things. First of all, is very eager professionals not conceding, willing to concede defeat.
Not willing to concede defeat.
Defeat.
So they were hiding the truth. That's a cover-up.
Well, no. Not willing to concede defeat on the basis that they can play catch-up. It's actually a fine line between a cover-up and somebody who is overconfident trying to make things happen. All right? There's a fine line drawn. I would define cover-up as somebody still telling you can do something when
they know they cannot.
He is absolutely convinced he cannot. As long as that person believes there's a 10% chance, all right, and he did not give a point-blank guarantee that it can be done, but that he believed it could be done, which is what came across to me in this whole thing, then it does not constitute cover-up.
But Michael T,
but it did constitute. Then you have a second issue. The second issue is the recipient listening to this promise. Did the recipient do due diligence to ask simple, critical, and intelligent questions to do cross-check? All right? That is the most important thing.
Well, let me name these two people. The first person you talk about was Jay Walder, the CEO of the MTR Corporation, and the second person was Anthony Cheung, the transport minister. Jay Walder called up Anthony Cheung.
No, I'm referring to Mr. T.C. Chu and Jay Walder.
Okay, that's the project manager and Jay Walder.
The project manager, T.C. Chu, had a track record of recovering lost time.
Okay,
he
so
is actually quite famous in the profession.
Right. He told Jay Walder that he could do it. Jay Walder then in turn called up Anthony Cheung.
No, the biggest problem is he